In this video, several young children are playing outside during winter, jumping and climbing over large industrial pipes in a snow-covered area. The scene feels calm and playful at first, with fog or mist hanging low in the air, limiting visibility and giving the surroundings an eerie atmosphere. As the kids continue playing, one of them suddenly stops and points off into the distance, clearly reacting to something they've noticed beyond the pipes.
Alright, these guys are playing on some tubes. Don't ask me why.
What's that? Right over there.
What?
What is that thing? Whoa, what the heck?
Dude, I don't... What?
What is that?
I'm not seeing it.
Scared me.
Where'd it go?
I bet it's just some animal.
Where is it, though?
I think it went into the woods.
No way.
I bet it's just an animal.
Where'd it go?
Go check it out.
Let's go. I don't know where it is.
It went into the woods. I don't know if it went into the woods.
Oh my god. Oh my god, what is that? What is that thing? This is history right here. Don't tell me that's a Yeti.
The camera operator turns to look where the child is pointing, and through the fog, a tall, dark silhouette can be seen moving slowly across the snowy landscape. The figure is far away and partially obscured by mist, making details impossible to see, but its upright shape and steady movement immediately stand out against the white background. Only the outline is visible, yet it appears large and humanoid, walking calmly before gradually fading deeper into the fog. The combination of the children's reaction, the poor visibility, and the silent, distant figure makes the footage unsettling and difficult to explain. In this video, recorded on July 16th, 2006, a man describes a strange encounter he and his brother experienced while hiking near a campground in the forest of Tofino. Their family remained at the campsite while the two went exploring, bringing a video camera with them in hopes of spotting wildlife like deer or bears. Early in the footage, the camera is pulled out quickly, showing how sudden the moment was. According to the witness, they came across a large, dark, humanoid figure standing among the trees. It appeared to pause and stare in their direction, which immediately made the situation feel tense and unsettling.
Look! Wait, stay! Stay back!
Okay, this is where we were when we just saw 15 minutes ago a live, I don't know, some sort of humanoid thing, I don't know. Right by that tree over there. Yeah, that one. We saw it. Let's go see if we can, I don't know. What?
Okay.
Holy shit. Okay, come on guys. Okay, right here.
As he began filming, the figure started moving away. When the witness instinctively stepped forward, his brother pulled him back, and they retreated about 50 meters before stopping. After waiting for a short time, they cautiously returned to the area and noticed faint, indistinct footprints on the ground. Both men stress that they are skeptics and not prone to jumping to conclusions. While a bear is one possible explanation, the witness recalls the figure being around 7 feet tall, hunched, and moving in a way that didn't quite match any known animal, leaving the encounter open to interpretation. In this video, a father is casually filming his daughter while they're spending time outdoors, when she suddenly points toward the nearby forest and tries to get his attention. At first, it seems like nothing unusual, just trees and brush in the background. But as the camera shifts in the direction she's pointing, something strange becomes visible moving between the trees. The moment feels unplanned and genuine, with no build-up or expectation that anything unusual was about to happen.
Somebody over there.
Over where? Hey! What are you doing over there? What was that? Where did it go? Where did it go, Carly?
In the distance, a thin, pale figure can be seen walking through the forest. It appears unusually slender, with extremely long arms hanging low by its sides. Its movement is slow and deliberate, almost gliding between the trees before fading from view. The creature doesn't look like a typical Bigfoot. It's much slimmer and lighter in color, but its proportions and upright posture don't match any known animal either. Because of how brief and distant the sighting is, it's impossible to say what it truly was, but the unsettling appearance leaves the encounter open to interpretation.
In this video, filmed in June 2001, a man recounts an unexpected encounter while shooting a home movie in the woods of Prince Edward Island, Canada. He and a friend were filming a scene involving a playful chase when something unusual suddenly appeared at the edge of the tree line. Without warning, a large, dark, and furry figure bolted out from the forest, crossing the clearing in front of them before disappearing back into the trees. The moment was entirely unplanned, leaving both witnesses shocked and intrigued.
You ready? Okay. All right. Damn it. All right, go. What the? Dude, holy shit. Did you see that?
The figure was notably big and upright, with a thick, dark coat that made it stand out sharply against the greenery. Its movement was swift and fluid, giving the impression of strength and agility, and it vanished almost as quickly as it appeared. While the encounter lasted only seconds, it left a strong impression on the witnesses, who immediately realized that what they had seen did not resemble any known animal typically found in the area. Whether it was a Bigfoot or some other unknown creature remains uncertain, but the footage captures a striking and mysterious figure moving through the woods. In Carbondale, Pennsylvania, a homeowner captured some unusual activity in their backyard after hearing strange noises at night. For the past 2 weeks, residents in this small town had been noticing disturbances and glimpsing a large, human-like figure moving through the wooded areas. On this night, the homeowner decided to film what was happening and managed to catch a brief glimpse of a tall, upright figure on camera. The creature is strikingly white, standing out against the dark backdrop of trees and shadows. Its humanoid shape, broad shoulders, and long limbs give it a strong presence even from a distance. The movement seems deliberate, almost as if the figure is aware of being observed. While skeptics might argue it's a person or a known animal, the unusual color, size, and local history of strange noises make this sighting particularly compelling. While visiting Clingman's Dome, the highest point in Tennessee, a family was enjoying a winter walk along the snowy trail. The parents had brought their children to explore the area and take in the mountain views, when they noticed a small group of hikers looking up into the trees. Curious, they joined them and soon spotted a large, upright figure moving slowly among the snow-covered branches. At first, some suggested it might be a bear, but the way it walked on 2 legs immediately stood out. The family quietly paused, fascinated by the creature and the way it blended with the winter forest, capturing footage on their phones.
Bigfoot. Do you see it? Look at this. Right.
What's he doing?
The figure is tall and covered in dark fur, with broad shoulders and long arms, clearly humanoid in shape. Even from a distance, its size and posture are striking. The family and other hikers seem more amazed than frightened, watching quietly as it moved deliberately, almost aware of their presence. The snowy forest backdrop and the calm, deliberate movements make this sighting feel genuine and remarkable, a rare glimpse of something unknown roaming the Smoky Mountains. This footage was captured in Derry, New Hampshire, in mid-February 2012. A father was filming his kids as they played hockey on a small asphalt road near their home. Just a normal afternoon outdoors. There was no snow on the ground, and everything felt calm until a strange scream echoed from the nearby woods. At first, they brushed it off and kept playing. Moments later, another call rang out, closer this time, which made them stop and walk toward the tree line to see what was going on.
Oh, rings the other.
What was that?
I don't know what that was.
You heard that, right? Yeah.
Just keep playing. All right, there's something out there. Is that like a dog?
That's not a dog. That's a big 700-pound hamburger eating dog.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Whoa.
What is that? I see, it's like black. I couldn't really.
Hey, don't go so far up.
I see it back there.
I did too. Just walking. Oh my god. Oh my god.
That thing is, what is that?
That just broke like a tree.
As the camera points into the distance, a tall, dark figure can be seen moving slowly between the trees. The shape appears upright and massive, unlike any known animal in the area. The father later explained that this wasn't the first strange experience there. Previous sightings and large footprints had already been found nearby. Catching this figure on camera only added to the mystery, turning an ordinary family moment into an unsettling and unforgettable encounter. This footage was recorded on April 5th, 2009, at around 6:30 p.m., while riding an ATV through the area known locally as Gum Hill. The cameraman was using a simple Viewpoint 5.0 digital camera with a waterproof case, something he regularly used to document his ATV rides. During the ride, he unexpectedly spotted a large figure moving in the distance and managed to capture it on video. This marked the second time he had personally encountered the creature known as the Beast of Gum Hill, but the first time it was ever recorded on video. The figure appears tall and heavily built, estimated at around 7 feet tall and roughly 350 pounds. According to local legend, this creature has been known in the area for over 100 years and is described as reclusive and non-aggressive. A still photograph allegedly taken in the early 1980s is often mentioned in connection with the legend, but this video is believed to be the first known moving footage of the Beast of Gum Hill. The witness later shared a Q&A about the encounter on a Bigfoot research forum, adding further context to what many consider a rare and historically significant sighting. This footage comes from the series Survivorman, Bigfoot, and shows a man positioned on a hillside, filming the forest below. As he scans the area between the trees, a large dark figure can be seen moving slowly through the lower terrain. The environment is quiet and remote, and the elevated vantage point gives a clear sense of scale, making the figure appear unusually tall and broad compared to its surroundings. The camera remains steady as the witness carefully tracks the movement from above.
See him above there, by the trees.
what stands out most in this clip is the creature's heavy breathing, clearly audible as it moves through the forest. The figure walks upright, weaving between the trees with deliberate steps that don't resemble typical wildlife behavior. Its size, posture, and movement have sparked debate ever since the episode aired. Whether it's a Bigfoot, a sasquatch, or something else entirely is left up to interpretation, but the footage remains one of the more unsettling moments featured on the show. This video was recorded on April 7th, 2012, by a man who was scouting the woods for filming locations for an independent horror project he was working on. The day before, he and his team had set up a prop ritual circle in a secluded part of the forest as part of their rehearsals. When he returned alone the next afternoon for additional camera work, he was quietly moving through the area, scanning the tree line as he often does to avoid startling wildlife and to photograph animals like deer or turkeys. That's when he noticed something unusual standing near the exact spot where the ritual circle had been placed the night before.
See that thing right there? It's creeping me out. I lived here for going on 7 years and walked 100 miles through these woods. Never seen that shape before right there. See it? Kind of funny head shape. It wasn't here earlier. Yeah, no, it's not a stump. It's not. I don't know if I moved, it moved.
As he films, a dark, upright figure can be seen partially obscured by the trees. The witness states he has no clear explanation for what it is, emphasizing that it wasn't a stump, tree, or any known natural object. What makes the encounter more unsettling is that when he returned to the same location, just before sundown later that day, the figure was completely gone. With nothing left to document, he chose not to film again. Whether coincidence or something unexplained, the timing and placement of the figure left him deeply unsettled and questioning what he may have captured. This video shows a group of kids walking through the woods at night, casually filming as they talk and show what they've caught in a bucket, a snake and a frog. The atmosphere is relaxed at first, with the kids laughing and focusing on their find, unaware of anything unusual around them. The forest is dark and quiet, lit only by their flashlights, and the recording feels spontaneous and unplanned, like many late-night outdoor clips shared online.
And a frog so far. Go. Okay.
Sure, find some salamanders, some frogs, usually like over there inside.
Nothing yet though. Only the snake and the frog. Here. Okay, lift up that rock. Could be something under here. No, it doesn't look like it. It's getting windy too. So a ton of ants.
Yeah.
Nothing good. Okay. Well, we're not having too much luck. I think we're gonna call it a night. Okay, this is all we got tonight. Just a frog and a snake.
Later in the footage, one of them begins panning the camera around the surrounding trees. For a brief moment, a face-like shape can be seen peering from behind a tree. The features appear animal-like, resembling a wolf or werewolf, but the image is unclear and partially obscured by darkness. Some viewers believe it could also be a Bigfoot, given the size and positioning of the figure. With the poor visibility and short appearance, it's impossible to say for certain what was watching them, leaving the clip open to multiple interpretations.
That's gonna do it for this video. Thanks for watching all the way to the end. I really appreciate it. As always, I'm curious what you think about these sightings. Which one stood out to you the most, and do you think any of them could be the real thing? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.
In this book, Roosevelt talks about meeting a grizzled old woodsman named Bauman, who tells a tale of going into a secluded valley to trap beavers and other animals. With two partners, only one man got out. They saw a bipedal figure that stank really bad and they shot at it, which is a bad idea. Don't shoot at a Bigfoot. They don't like it.
Most people dismiss Bigfoot as a blurry joke. But tell that to the mother screaming for her children as a 7-foot figure steps from the tree line just yards away. That kind of fear can't be staged. Today, we break down footage that's left experts baffled and witnesses shaken, from family groups defending their young to giants hurling rocks at hunters. And here's the unsettling part. Some of these beings seem intelligent enough to decide who walks away. Don't assume every Bigfoot clip online is just AI. When a hunter like Bram Oakes fires at something enormous in the Cascade Wilderness and ends up being followed for hours, it stops being a campfire story and turns into a fight to survive. When a towering figure stands in the middle of an Appalachian river, staring straight into the lens, holding its ground against the current, or when an Ohio trail cam captures what appears to be a Bigfoot mother guarding her young, this goes beyond internet folklore. Right now, we're looking at the Bigfoot moments so real that no AI could convincingly recreate them. These are the encounters that changed minds. Bigfoot might be real, and far more intelligent than we ever imagined. In 2017, hunter Bram Oakes unintentionally struck a huge upright figure in the Cascade Forest. In an instant, the roles reversed. He was no longer in control. The shift was immediate. Bigfoot trailed him for hours, used tree knocks to signal others, hurled basketball-sized rocks, and drove him deeper into the wilderness. When Bram found 18-inch footprints spaced nearly 6 feet apart, he knew this was far beyond any known animal. Even firing a round straight into its chest failed to stop it. Imagine the fear of moving on when your rifle, your only protection, means nothing against a living juggernaut. Near the end of the pursuit, 3 to 5 figures emerged, blocking the trail and gesturing for Bram to leave. If they wanted him dead, it would have been effortless. Instead, they let him go. That's what makes this encounter so disturbing. It suggests intelligence and restraint we don't attribute to wildlife. Structure, rules, and leadership. Bram wasn't simply chased. He was guided out of their land. And here's what lingers. These sightings aren't limited to isolated hunters anymore. Sometimes, they're standing in plain sight, watching us. This next clip was reportedly recorded along a remote river in the Appalachian region, an area known for its long history and dense forests. At first, the group assumed they were seeing a fisherman standing in the water, but as their boat drew closer, the feeling shifted immediately. It became clear the figure was not human. The being stood over 7 feet tall, covered in reddish-brown hair, with long arms dropping nearly to its knees. It remained completely motionless in the shallow water, as if guarding the area. When it turned, it locked eyes with the camera, calm and unbothered. Viewers later noted a detail skeptics often miss. No human can stand that still in a moving river. The current requires constant adjustments to stay upright, yet this figure didn't sway at all. It looked rooted in place. Its posture and proportions feel far too natural to be a costume. A fursuit would soak up water and throw off balance. This creature didn't struggle. It moved with the ease of something that belongs there. And speaking of what belongs, no parent expects a bright, peaceful afternoon of filming their kids to turn into sheer terror. 2 children were running through a field just steps from their mother when a massive figure emerged from the tree line. In that instant, instinct took over. She screamed for her children to run back to her. Now. The fear in her voice was raw and unmistakable. It didn't sound staged. That clip shook the entire community. It wasn't the scream of an actress. It was the scream of a mother who believed she was facing a predator. Some researchers suggest Bigfoot may appear more often near children because they're small, unpredictable, and not immediately threatening. It's a disturbing thought that these creatures could be curious about our young, but curiosity isn't one-sided. In rare moments, we may even be witnessing them teaching their own offspring how to survive. Next up is a trail cam clip reportedly captured near the outskirts of Salt Fork, Ohio. The footage shows a huge, dark-furred figure standing partially concealed behind a bush, with a smaller shape positioned closely in front of it, almost as if being shielded. When the image is zoomed in, the facial details come into focus. Bright, light-reflecting eyes, a broad, primitive-looking nose, and dense fur covering the chest and shoulders. What truly stands out is how they move. Both figures shift their weight, crouch, and survey the area in a way that looks exactly like an adult watching over its young. Online reactions were immediate and intense. That is not a gorilla. The smaller figure clings in a way eerily similar to classic Appalachian footage. While some still argue it could be CGI, cryptid researchers maintain the stance, body ratios, and behavior appear far too organic to be fabricated. If this footage is authentic, it may represent rare evidence that Bigfoot operates in family units. It changes the narrative entirely. These aren't solitary beasts wandering aimlessly. They may be parents, guardians, and teachers passing on survival instincts. In another terrifying case involving a hunter named Brian, he was already suffering from a gunshot wound when he unintentionally recorded a close-range encounter with a creature. Many believe this may have been the last video he ever captured, offering disturbing insight into a moment that still raises questions. The footage was reportedly taken in a forested area near the Ohio River, along the Appalachian Range. In the shot, a tall, dark, fur-covered figure appears partially concealed by brush. As it slowly turns its head, its face comes into focus. Deep, hollow eyes, a broad, flattened nose, matted facial hair, and the edge of its mouth curling upward as if releasing a low, threatening growl. A man alleged that his father discovered and preserved a juvenile Bigfoot in 1953. The body was reportedly so massive it had to be cut into sections for transport. According to him, the specimen stood over 6 feet tall and had dried out after 65 years in a freezer. A detached foot, stored separately, was said to perfectly match the rest of the body. He described dense muscle structure, a desiccated face frozen in an odd half-smile, and thick hair covering nearly every inch. Here's the twist. DNA testing reportedly showed no known origin. His conclusion was that Bigfoot could be an engineered biological entity, possibly linked to extraterrestrial involvement, which might explain why skeletal remains are never found. To him, this wasn't folklore, it was proof, physical matter that existed in real space and time. If true, it would rewrite what we understand about evolution. And if they are biological, then they must have needs. Home security cameras usually pick up deer or the occasional trespasser, but not this. On a secluded forest property, a family's night vision camera captured a huge, shadowy figure racing across their yard. Moments later, the shape thinned out and vanished, almost like it was absorbed by the darkness itself. Maybe it was a sensor error, but the unease never went away. The family wants one thing answered. What was outside their home that night? The most unsettling detail was the speed. It crossed the ground faster than a professional athlete, and it did it without making a single sound. Anyone who's spent time camping knows that eerie feeling of being watched. A man in northern Michigan felt it firsthand. While collecting firewood, he suddenly noticed a pair of strange eyes locked onto him. He managed to snap a few photos before fear took over and he bolted. The figure he captured appeared human in shape, but it was wrapped in matted hair, with a flat nose and a heavy brow, resembling something ancient and primate-like. When he later returned to the spot, it was gone. Still, the images he took sparked intense discussion across the region, because what they show doesn't look purely hostile, it looks curious. Sometimes footage isn't necessary. Just 3 photographs can be enough to rattle the entire Bigfoot community. This sequence was captured by a concealed trail camera deep in the forest. In the first shot, there's only a shadowy form barely visible behind a tree, almost as if it's observing from cover. In the second image, the figure moves forward, exposing its head, broad shoulders, and unusually long, human-like arms. The third frame is what stops people cold. The creature stands completely in the open, tall and powerfully built, matching classic Bigfoot descriptions almost perfectly. The camera's owner says the location is so isolated that hardly anyone ever passes through, which is why he refuses to disclose it. He doesn't want Bigfoot hunters flooding the area. Sometimes you head out just to take in a peaceful mountain scene, and instead you come face to face with something far beyond human. A man trekking through the Peruvian Andes managed to film a massive figure clinging to a rocky mountainside. From a distance, it almost looked human, but the scale immediately felt wrong. As he zoomed in, the outline sharpened. A huge, upright form taking deliberate steps, crossing the slope as if the terrain posed no challenge at all. Compared to it, the surrounding boulders looked small. Many viewers believe this footage shows something incredibly rare. A true giant moving through Peru's high peaks. And that's an understatement. These beings appear to navigate ground that would demand professional climbing gear from humans, yet they do it barefoot. Shadows that seem to move the moment you blink. What should have been an ordinary night of camping turned into an experience none of them could forget. In June 2015, a group of friends were filming a calm forest at night when something suddenly streaked between the trees. A dark form moved so fast it was only visible frame by frame. The footage was grainy, but the fear was real. It felt like something was watching them. No one knows what it was, but that single blur was enough to make them pack up and leave right away. It's that raw instinct again, when your body senses danger before your mind can explain it. For YouTuber The Woodsmaster, everything began with a distant silhouette. He climbed higher to get a better view, and the figure appeared again, slipping between the trees. Its movement was fluid and powerful, stopping everyone in their tracks. When they zoomed in, opinions split. Was it just a shadow, or something alive? The cameraman mentioned he had filmed what he believed was a Bigfoot on the opposite hillside back in 2013. Could it be the same one? That idea suggests these creatures hold territories and remain in them for years. And when it comes to some of the most convincing Bigfoot evidence, Oklahoma consistently sends chills down people's spines. This time, the Oklahoma Adventures crew ventured far into a forest infamous for unexplained encounters. Before long, they heard a heavy scraping sound, like something dragging a full log across the ground. Soon after, they came across scattered bones and oversized footprints that didn't resemble any known animal. Then things escalated. Their camera unknowingly captured a massive, dark figure standing deep between the trees, looming in the distance while the group remained unaware. Later that night, their trail cam recorded the creature again, this time silently tracking a deer. It wasn't wandering, it was hunting. And if it can stalk a deer that quietly, it's unsettling to think how easily it could follow a human. If you assume camping near a brewery means you're safe, this footage may change your mind. Late one night, a security camera picked up a tall figure lingering at the edge of the frame for only a few seconds before melting back into the darkness. When staff reviewed the video the next morning, no one could explain it. Some suggested a lost hiker, but others quickly pointed out the proportions were too large and the movement unnaturally silent. To this day, the figure remains unidentified. Many believe Bigfoot is drawn to places with food waste, trash, or strong smells, easy opportunities. That raises a disturbing thought. They know where we leave our leftovers. A lot of people believe Bigfoot is solitary, but this clip challenges that idea. While gathering firewood near a barn, a man noticed a dark shape standing motionless among the trees. When he zoomed in, his stomach dropped. The figure was tall, with arms far longer than any humans. It shifted behind a tree, watching him. Then, without warning, a second, smaller figure stepped into view beside it. Both vanished silently into the forest, the larger one pausing to look back before disappearing. Debate still rages online, but most agree on one thing: the stance, the limbs, the movement, none of it looked human. If you believe camping with your child is always calm and safe, this story may change that. Near the tree line, a father noticed a dark shape slipping between the trees, moving as if it didn't want to be seen. He raised his camera and recorded a few seconds before panic set in. They packed up and left the park that same night. Later, he shared the clip online, hoping for answers. Even after enhancing brightness, zooming in, and stabilizing the footage, only a bipedal figure weaving through the trees was visible, still too unclear for certainty. Even so, those familiar with Salt Fork encounters agreed on one thing. This forest has a long history of reports involving massive, unexplained figures. The pattern fits. The accounts stay the same, the details stay the same, only the witnesses change. Sometimes an encounter lasts just seconds, yet that's all it takes to permanently shift what someone believes. On a twisting forest road in Utah, two men suddenly spotted a huge figure standing among the trees. Too tall, too dark, too unnatural to be a bear or anything they recognized. It vanished the instant they backed the car up. When they returned to investigate, they discovered a footprint stretching nearly 72 inches in stride. "Right, Brody?" one of them said. Another print was less defined, but pressed so deeply that the plants beneath it were still crushed flat. One footprint measured close to 19 inches long and more than 8 inches wide, the largest either of them had ever seen. While filming the area, one man gestured to the wet, stormy surroundings and said, "This place is extremely squatchy. Soft ground, moisture everywhere, and tons of food like elderberries, Oregon grapes, wild berries, huckleberries." With a stride that long, they were convinced it was the same creature they'd seen earlier that day. Fog alone can turn a forest into a nightmare, but this time, it concealed something far worse. Walking through the mist-filled woods of Washington, a man noticed an odd shape moving ahead of him. The camera steadied as he filmed the figure walking slowly before dissolving into the fog. Viewers noted how the thick mist distorted both sound and distance, creating perfect conditions for a large creature to remain hidden. Some believed the filmer was incredibly close, while others thought the camera was pushed to its zoom limit. Either way, the silhouette unsettled everyone. It felt like a forest apparition, present one moment, gone the next. Japan isn't just a land of spirits and folklore. It also has Hibigon, their own Bigfoot-like legend. A mysterious video surfaced from what appeared to be a paranormal channel. No one knows who recorded it or what program it originally came from. Still, the footage was so sharp that many called it the clearest Bigfoot-style clip since the 1967 Patterson-Gimlin film. Real or staged, viewers were struck by how natural the movements appeared. And like many mysteries from Japan, it ends with a single question. If it isn't Bigfoot, then what is it? And do you think fear can be triggered by sound alone? People near the Sunchild Reserve know this fear well. Every spring, at exactly 3 a.m., long, powerful howls echo from deep in the forest, sounds that don't match any known animal. Some blame wolves or lynx, but many locals insist it's something else. In the 1970s, strange footprints were reported in the same area, and many believe whatever left them has returned. No one ever sees it, but everyone hears it. That's enough to keep the community awake at night, and some people now avoid checking their forest cameras, afraid of what they might find. In 2019, one man chose to look anyway. While reviewing his footage, he spotted a tall, dark figure standing beside a tree, about 6 to 7 feet tall and completely still. When the image was enhanced, strange details emerged. No bear-like snout, unusually long arms, and a fully upright body far too large to be human. No known animal matched the shape, which is why many Bigfoot researchers consider it one of the most significant images ever captured.
The research community have noted for decades that there seems to be a connection between coyotes and Sasquatches. A lot of people were saying maybe the coyotes are following the Sasquatches around and waiting for scraps after the Sasquatch kills a deer or something like that.
A hunter scanning a remote ridge somewhere between Arizona and Alaska watches a massive grayish figure leap from behind a wall of brush, slam into the hillside below, and turn to stare directly at him. That footage was uploaded 5 days into February 2026, and it was only the beginning. From night vision trail cams to snow-buried footprints with no human explanation, these are the first confirmed pieces of Bigfoot evidence to surface this year. And each one is harder to dismiss than the last. The figure on the hillside. Pushing through thick brush, the hunter was surveying the ground ahead when something massive flickered at the edge of his vision. It was partly hidden within heavy vegetation, low to the ground, completely still, observing. The proportions were instantly off. Whatever it was filled too much of the space behind the foliage. The shoulders were unnaturally broad, the build too compact and heavy. The outline fundamentally inconsistent with anything he recognized as living in those woods.
One aspect of this recording that I do find intriguing is wood knocks. The problem with these types of recordings is you don't know what is making that sound. It could be the recorder himself, but the initial vocalizations I found much more interesting.
He lifted his phone and began filming. His hands were unsteady. Then the creature moved. It pulled back from where it had been concealed and suddenly propelled itself outward, dropping down the hillside with explosive force. A gray-toned, fur-covered bipedal figure, massive yet fluid, extended a long arm to catch itself as it hit the ground. The impact carried weight. This was not something light. This was something built to withstand the force of its own mass at speed. Then it turned. It looked straight at the man. Not a quick glance, not the startled reflex of an animal surprised, but a deliberate, sustained stare. Eye contact held long enough for the hunter to feel each second press against his chest. Then it broke the gaze and moved back into the tree line. Fast, controlled, gone. The footage, uploaded on February 5th, 2026, shows no indications of digital fabrication. No distortion, no warping, no unnatural motion artifacts. Even through the obstructing vegetation, the creature's broad frame is clearly defined, visibly larger than any human outline. The way it leapt, absorbed the landing, then pivoted with precise athletic control. This sequence alone distinguishes it from the typical distant, indistinct figures that dominate most Bigfoot compilations. But there is an additional detail that pushes this beyond a single recording. The uploader states that members of his own team witnessed something nearly identical during a separate encounter. A gray, Bigfoot-like figure with the same coloration, shifting behind trees, peeking out, then bounding away, accompanied by the same strange, almost assessing stare before walking off. Two separate encounters, the same physical profile, the same behavioral pattern, and beneath the audio of the original clip, a faint, rhythmic clicking sound, intentional, measured, cutting through the forest silence like a signal. For decades, the Bigfoot Field Researchers Organization has documented unexplained clicking and wood-knocking sounds that occur before or alongside visual encounters. By itself, it proves nothing, but placed in context with everything else, it pulls that uneasy knot tighter in your stomach. What passed through the darkness. The daytime encounter was unsettling on its own. What a trail camera recorded the night before was something entirely different. On February 4th, 2026, a motion-activated camera positioned somewhere in an American forest triggered late at night. Something had crossed into its detection range. The black and white footage shows a light-toned, bipedal silhouette moving through the dark woods at a steady, measured pace. Its arms swing with exaggerated amplitude, one of the most consistently reported Bigfoot locomotion traits, documented across sightings for more than 60 years. Each step covers distance that implies legs significantly longer than a human's, and the torso sits high and broad. Carrying a mass the camera still registers even through the grainy night feed. The camera wasn't designed for long-distance clarity in low light, so the figure appears faint, partially swallowed by the surrounding darkness. It moves like something at ease in the night, unhurried, assured, navigating terrain it clearly understands. There's no hesitation in its gait, no stumble, no need to adjust direction, just continuous forward motion through a forest that, for most humans, would be nearly impossible to cross at that hour. The proportions of the silhouette are unmistakable. The width of the shoulders, the ratio of arm length to torso, the height relative to nearby trees. This was not a person walking through the woods at midnight. The lighter coloration sparked immediate debate. In black and white footage, a pale tone could indicate anything from soft gray to light brown. Some observers pointed toward the Yeti, the legendary Himalayan ape, described as powerfully built and adapted to extreme cold. The environment here doesn't match that habitat, but the comparison itself reveals how unusual the figure appeared. Large enough, strange enough, and pale enough to push viewers toward the most extreme reference they could find. Proper analysis is still ongoing, but taken together, the trail cam capture and the hunter's daylight footage from the next day, the first week of February 2026 produced more potential Bigfoot evidence than most years combined. The road crossing outside Moscow. The evidence is no longer limited to the forests of North America. A newly surfaced photograph reportedly shows a creature Russian researchers refer to as the almas. It was captured shortly after the figure crossed a highway near Moscow, triggering a traffic accident. The image reveals a large, brown-haired figure moving through the trees just off the roadside. The scenario closely mirrors a Russian Bigfoot encounter previously covered on this channel. 2 sightings, same region, similar creature profile, and the same pattern of appearing near roadways before disappearing into nearby woodland. The almas is considered distinct from the North American sasquatch. Witness descriptions portray it as more human in structure, shorter in height with long arms, pronounced brow ridges, and sparse hair rather than dense fur. The exposed skin beneath is often described as dark and weathered, giving it a primitive, almost archaic look. Some historical reports even claim that almas individuals were captured or lived among human populations centuries ago, drawing the attention of anthropologists who speculate they could represent a surviving branch of early hominids rather than an undiscovered ape species. The presence of 2 Russian sightings depicting similar creatures within the same geographic corridor is significant. This is no longer just a question of a single, unknown creature in a remote forest. It is beginning to resemble a species, widespread, adapted, and enduring across multiple continents. The figure, wearing a golden crown. Not all footage needs to be recent to matter. It only needs to align. The yellow-top Bigfoot video appeared online in the early 2000s, showing a large, dark, upright figure moving through a wooded area near a ridge. The name comes from a lighter patch visible around the head or upper shoulders, interpreted as sunlit fur, thinner hair, or a distinct coloration near the crown. What kept this footage alive in the community wasn't just the figure itself. It was the movement, a long, controlled stride, with arm length that didn't fit human proportions. The figure kept its balance over uneven terrain without hesitation, and showed no visible reaction to being filmed. No stumble, no flinch, no stiffness suggesting a costume, only steady, deliberate motion across difficult ground. Decades separate that footage from the February 2026 surge, yet the behavioral profile, the same calm assurance, the same bipedal movement, the same lack of concern about being watched, mirrors exactly what the hunter recorded on the hillside. That level of consistency across time is either an extraordinary coincidence or something far more difficult to dismiss. The bird that shouldn't be real. Before moving forward, and what comes next is the strongest material in this entire video, here's something to reset your expectations of what nature can actually produce. A clip recently went viral, featuring what the caption described as a mutant pigeon. The bird is known as a powder pigeon, and its defining characteristic is its ability to inflate its crop with air until it forms a massive, balloon-like bulge above its body. When fully expanded, the bird looks absurdly top-heavy. Thin waist, long legs, and an upright posture that feels engineered in a lab rather than shaped in a barnyard. Powder pigeons are the product of centuries of selective breeding in Europe, which explains why their appearance is so exaggerated compared to wild pigeons. They're typically calm and social, but the extreme inflation limits their agility in flight and makes them more vulnerable than sturdier breeds, which is why they're almost exclusively kept by breeders and hobbyists. The point is straightforward. Human intervention took a normal pigeon and transformed it into something that looks impossible. cartoonish, alien, unnatural, and yet it's entirely real. Nature doesn't prioritize looking believable. Keep that in mind for what comes next. If this investigation has held your attention so far, subscribing ensures you won't miss the next wave of evidence when it appears. The most compelling footage in this video is still ahead.
43 years ago, a group of men saw a creature standing in between a pair of trees, and that wasn't all. They found evidence they believe belonged to Bigfoot.
Eyes that do not switch off. Late 2025, an undisclosed location. Dense vegetation, full daylight. The kind of harsh midday sun that should drain any forest of its menace. It didn't. The filmmaker was close, far closer than the hunter on the ridge, closer than the distant outline caught by the trail camera, close enough to make out individual features through the leaves, close enough that, once the creature realized it was being observed, neither side could pretend the encounter wasn't real. It was crouched behind foliage, partially hidden, staring through a narrow break in the leaves. The head was rounded, with no visible neck, just a smooth, compressed transition into massively wide shoulders. The coloration was jet black, not dark brown, not charcoal gray. Black in a way that absorbed the midday light instead of reflecting it. And then there were the eyes. They glowed. Not the brief reflective flash of eye shine under infrared, not the fleeting glint of a beam passing over a retina. This was constant luminescence in full, unassisted daylight. A steady, internal glow radiating from within the skull. Whatever produces it does not shut off. These eyes look like this all the time. In darkness, in sunlight, somewhere right now. The creature didn't flinch. It didn't withdraw. It held its position and fixed its gaze directly on the person filming with an intensity that suggested something beyond animal caution. Not fear, not curiosity. Something closer to evaluation. A deliberate awareness that registered the human, measured the level of threat, and chose to remain. The filmmaker kept recording, hands shaking, breath audible in the audio, the frame shifting with the involuntary movements of a body flooded with adrenaline and locked in place by something deeper than adrenaline, a primal recognition. You were being watched by something that was not afraid of you. Every instinct said to leave. But the creature's stillness, its complete refusal to break eye contact, held the filmmaker there the way a predator's gaze holds prey, not through aggression, but through the sheer weight of being observed by something that had already decided you were not a threat. The moment stretched. Then, without any visible trigger, no sudden movement, no sound, no change in posture, the filmmaker's composure collapsed. They hit the power button and ran. Not walked, ran. The kind of exit where you don't look back. Across decades of Bigfoot reports, witnesses consistently describe extremely dark, almost pitch-black figures paired with glowing or reflective eyes. From the Pacific Northwest to Appalachia to the swamps of Florida and East Texas, the geographic spread suggests this isn't a localized anomaly. It's a recurring trait of something that has been seen, described, and feared across an entire continent. Pressed into snow with the weight of something enormous. February 4th, 2026. In the wake of a powerful winter storm that tore through the northeastern United States, deep within the Mohawk territory of New York, a hiker named Raywait Cook was moving across snow-covered wilderness when something ahead disrupted the trail. Footprints, massive human-like impressions pressed deep into the fresh snow. The stillness after the storm was absolute, that muffled silence that follows heavy snowfall, where every surface is softened and every sound disappears. No wind, no traffic, no other tracks anywhere nearby. Just these impressions cutting through otherwise untouched snow, stretching forward between the trees. Cook documented what he encountered. Defined, oversized toes, a broad midfoot with a spread far exceeding that of any human. An extended heel-to-toe length, suggesting a structure built to distribute weight across soft, uneven terrain. The depth of each print was striking. Whatever created them was driving into the snow with force well beyond an average human's body weight. The surface didn't simply compress beneath the foot, it gave way, collapsing under pressure, indicating something extremely heavy had stood there, shifted its weight, and continued forward. The stride pattern introduced another anomaly. The first two prints were spaced several feet apart, a long, deliberate step. But the second and third prints closed that distance sharply, nearly overlapping. An irregular, adaptive rhythm, as if the creature was constantly adjusting its gait to move through deep accumulation and maintain balance over terrain hidden beneath the snow. Not the consistent mechanical pattern of a human walking in boots. Something more organic, heavier, something actively reading the ground beneath each step. Akwesasne, the Mohawk community in far northern New York, stretches across borders into Canada and multiple provinces. While parts of it are developed, the surrounding landscape remains quiet, rural, and deeply isolated. Wooded expanses, riverbanks, long corridors of wilderness where someone could walk for hours without encountering another person. The specific area where Cook found the tracks saw almost no human activity before or after the storm. Whatever left those impressions had the landscape entirely to itself. The footprints are not dramatic. They don't leap. They don't glow. They remain in the snow with the quiet authority of physical evidence, measurable, photographable, and carrying the undeniable weight of something that should not exist. The pair who sold their house. April 15th, 2009, 2:39 in the afternoon, Ontario, Canada. Jean Hebert reached for the blinds and pulled them open. 50 yards from the cabin, standing among the trees in full daylight, was a figure that stopped her breath. Massive, dark, upright, completely still, watching the cabin with the quiet patience of something that had already been there for some time. She called for her husband, her voice carrying that unmistakable urgency that makes someone drop everything and move. Mr. Hebert came to the window with a camera and saw exactly what she saw. An enormous figure, taller than anything in the surrounding tree line should reasonably frame, standing in the open, making no effort to conceal itself. It had noticed them. It didn't care. That indifference may have been the most disturbing part of the encounter. A bear would have reacted. A person would have reacted. Someone in a suit would absolutely have reacted to being spotted at 50 yards by two people staring directly at them. This creature acknowledged the Heberts the way a mountain acknowledges weather, with complete, unhurried indifference. Mr. Hebert raised the camera and took 2 photographs. The figure didn't move. Its 10-foot frame towered over the surrounding vegetation in a way that distorted the familiar scale of their own property. Trees they had passed for years suddenly seemed smaller. The landscape they knew had been redefined by something that didn't belong within it. Then it turned and disappeared into the forest. 15 minutes passed in silence. The Heberts remained at the window, cameras in hand, hearts still pounding, watching empty trees. Then it returned, stepping out from the same tree line, taking the same position, and allowing one final photograph before vanishing for good. The images remain among the most compelling Bigfoot photographs ever captured. The figure is immense, thick, muscular, upright, covered in dense hair, with partially visible primate-like facial features. The proportions are consistent, the lighting is natural. Nothing about the scene suggests staging. But the story didn't end with the photographs. In the weeks that followed, the Heberts found their window screens torn off, ripped clean from the frames with force that left no claw marks, no tool impressions, no clear method, just the screens removed and lying on the ground beneath the windows. It happened more than once. Each morning brought another check, and with it, a deeper sense of dread. No culprit was ever found, no tracks, no signs of entry, only the quiet, repeated indication that something could reach their windows whenever it chose to. The unease settled into the cabin and stayed. By 2010, the Heberts made their decision. They sold the property and left. Not out of desire, but because they no longer felt safe in a home where something 10 feet tall knew exactly where they slept, and had already shown more than once that walls and screens were not protection, only permission. Those who know Jean and her husband personally insist they would never fabricate something like this. They weren't content creators. They weren't seeking attention or profit. They were a quiet couple living in a rural cabin who opened their blinds one afternoon and saw something standing in their yard that science says should not exist, and it permanently altered the course of their lives. The photographs remain. The creature was never seen again. The questions remain exactly where the Heberts left them, open unresolved, and standing in the tree line 50 yards away. If this evidence meant something to you, subscribe and turn on notifications. The next wave of footage is already emerging, and this channel will be the first place it's analyzed. These two videos are very striking and unusually clear, and they haven't been featured on this channel before, so here they are. The witness remembers it as the largest Sasquatch she had ever encountered. In the footage, a massive bipedal figure can be seen standing upright. It nearly merges with the environment around it, though not entirely. Then, once it seems to realize it has been noticed, it quickly crouches down and attempts to slip back under the surrounding foliage to conceal itself. Todd later performed a size comparison by standing in the same spot where the alleged Bigfoot had been, and he remembered that the difference was not even close, which completely amazed him. The following day, he captured what he describes as the strongest video evidence of Bigfoot ever recorded, aside from the Patterson-Gimlin film. The footage shows a massive, ape-like figure sprinting through the forest at remarkable speed. The pace at which it moves is striking. At first, the figure appears far back on the hillside in the opening shot. Only seconds later, it is already much farther down along the slope. It moves through the dense and hazardous terrain effortlessly, appearing far faster than a person could manage. I had never come across these Todd standing clips before, and they are quite compelling. The size of the figures, the speed at which they move, and even the way they carry themselves all seem convincing. Everything about it appears to line up. However, because Todd is considered somewhat controversial within the Bigfoot community, it is left up to viewers to decide what they believe. A new Bigfoot video was released on February 17, 2026. The footage was uploaded with very little background information, though it was reportedly filmed somewhere in the United States. The video is captured in super slow motion, offering a clearer look at the figure. A lone hiker records the forest around him and begins approaching a tree directly ahead after thinking he noticed something peering from behind it. As he moves closer, the figure reveals itself again. From behind the trees, something tall and covered in uneven, shaggy fur appears. It's difficult to determine whether the visible portion belongs to the creature's shoulder and arm, or possibly part of its face and shoulder. Some viewers believe they can make out its face, while others think it's simply the arm and shoulder. If it truly is just the arm, that would suggest the creature is extremely tall, with its head adding at least another foot to its height. The footage continues as the figure peeks out, and then slowly retreats behind the tree once more. That is where the clip ends. It's assumed the hiker decided it was something he didn't want to confront and quickly left shortly afterward. Skeptics suggest it could be a bear or even a monkey. However, since the video was recorded in the United States, the monkey explanation is largely dismissed. Many observers agree that despite only seeing a small portion of the figure, its movements and appearance do not resemble a bear. Instead, it appears far more humanoid. This raises the question of whether the hiker truly encountered a hidden Bigfoot in the woods that day, a creature doing its best to remain concealed. When people think about Bigfoot or unknown creatures in the mountains, the Appalachian Mountains often come to mind. However, the Smoky Mountains are also considered a major hotspot for sightings. One particular piece of footage from that region has gained significant attention. The encounter was recorded near Clingman's Dome, the highest elevation point in Great Smoky Mountains National Park. It was filmed during the winter of 2011. What makes this incident especially intriguing is the number of witnesses present. A large group of people can be seen watching the scene closely, trying to determine what they are observing. The person filming zooms in using an older camera and captures the figure as clearly as possible. In the distance, a massive dark shape moves between the trees. Not only does it appear large, but it also seems extremely tall, once again appearing too tall to be a person. Many unusual reports like this originate from the mountains. Hikers, campers, and hunters in the Smoky Mountains have shared numerous strange experiences. These include wood knocks echoing through the forest at night, heavy bipedal footsteps circling campsites, powerful musky odors often described as worse than a wet dog, and strange whoops or screams that do not match known wildlife. Some have even reported finding large human-like footprints in mud or along riverbanks. Many witnesses claim these encounters happen in the more remote areas of the park, far from the main tourist trails. Some describe seeing a tall, dark, hairy figure crossing a path or standing among the trees at dusk. That description closely matches what appears in this footage, except in this case it was actually captured on camera. For many people, Bigfoot in the Smoky Mountains represents more than just a mysterious creature. It symbolizes the unknown still hiding within remote wilderness. Whether it's considered folklore, mistaken identity, or something truly unexplained, the legend continues to thrive among the shadowy ridges of the Smoky Mountains. Recently, some very clear photographic evidence of Bigfoot has also gained attention. The image began circulating widely in late January of this year. It is considered one of the clearest photographs to date, though it has sparked significant debate. The image appears to show a Bigfoot-like creature peering between pieces of wood. It's believed the creature was hiding inside an old abandoned barn located on a rural property. According to the story, someone was exploring the structure late at night and looked inside. What they saw was the eye of an unidentified creature staring back at them. The details of the face appear surprisingly realistic, from its patchy hair to its darkened lips and nose, as well as a very human-like eye. If the image is authentic, it would strongly suggest the presence of a Bigfoot-like creature. However, due to modern technology and the rapid advancement of artificial intelligence, many people immediately dismiss the photo as AI-generated. Because of this, some worry that even genuine evidence could easily be rejected by skeptics simply by attributing it to artificial intelligence. That leaves the question open as to whether this particular image is real or not. Another unusual piece of footage comes from a group of Russian soldiers who experienced something strange while in the woods. The incident reportedly took place in a Russian forest in 2023. While moving through the forest, they spotted a jet-black humanoid figure running directly in front of them. The creature quickly passed by as they observed it. When the footage is slowed down, the figure can be seen more clearly as it runs through the trees. Some skeptics argue that it could simply be another soldier wearing a ghillie suit. However, others point to the width of the figure and the unusual way it moves as reasons to doubt that explanation. Something about its appearance seems slightly unnatural, almost human, but not quite. Sightings of Bigfoot-like creatures are not limited to North America. Similar reports have surfaced in Russia and other parts of the world, where different names are used for these mysterious beings. Many soldiers claim to experience strange encounters while operating in remote locations. Because they travel to isolated areas far from civilization, they sometimes witness things that few others ever see. Another disturbing piece of evidence comes from a trail camera capture. The image appears to show a very large, unknown humanoid figure, moving on all fours. This photograph was taken on May 28, 2021, at 9:48 p.m. by a spy point camera placed in a remote forest location. The subject in the image appears somewhat human-like, yet clearly unusual. It does not appear to have hair, and its body seems to be covered in lighter colored skin. In the image, it is moving on all fours, though its posture almost suggests it might stand up and walk on two legs. Its lower legs appear thick and strong, while the upper limbs seem slightly smaller. The area around its head is noticeably darker than the rest of the body, and part of the head appears blurred, possibly due to motion or distortion from the camera. Viewers have offered various explanations for the image. Some believe it could be a sick or hairless bear. Others think it might be a feral human living in the forest. There are also those who believe it could be Bigfoot or some other unidentified cryptid. Regardless of the explanation, the image has an unsettling quality. It appears somewhat human, yet clearly different. As trail cameras become more common and their image quality continues to improve, more unusual captures like this are appearing. Strange figures and unexplained creatures are occasionally recorded deep within remote forests, leaving people searching for answers. Another intriguing sighting occurred when a man was flying a drone over rural land in southeast Idaho. He had recently purchased the drone and was simply flying it recreationally, hoping to capture some interesting footage. While the drone was moving over the landscape, the camera picked up something unusual below. It appeared to be a figure running across an open grassy area before disappearing into a small patch of forest. After zooming in on the footage, the man noticed something strange about the figure. It moved extremely quickly and seemed unusually tall when compared with the surrounding trees. The figure also appeared to be a single solid color, rather than someone wearing typical clothing. However, because the footage was recorded from such a distance, it's difficult to determine exactly what it was. There are still many unanswered questions surrounding this footage. It raises the possibility that creatures like Sasquatch could be roaming remote areas of land, such as this region of southeast Idaho. A new, unexplained video has recently gone viral on TikTok. It was recorded during the late evening of February 20th, 2026. A woman named Tammy arrived home around 8 p.m. She pulled into her driveway and stepped out of her car as she normally would, when something very unusual occurred. The footage appears to show a figure with some kind of light on its head, approaching from the opposite side of the road. In a sudden movement, the figure shifts from walking upright on two legs to moving on all fours. The way it travels on all fours appears smooth and natural, almost animal-like. After a moment, it rises back up onto two legs and turns in her direction.
Move meetings, move mountains, move your team forward. All you have to do is hit record. Try Loom for free today.
She later shared details about what happened that night.
I pull in my driveway, I get out of the car, and that's when I heard the creepy, hello. Just hearing it, I was like, what the f-? And I think why I was so calm is because I did have 2 glasses of wine. It's not AI. I don't know anything about AI. I don't like AI.
She also uploaded a wider version of the footage after some viewers began claiming it was AI generated or staged. According to her statement, the video is not AI generated, and she does not know anything about artificial intelligence. She also explained that this type of content is not something she usually posts. Based on the footage, there does not appear to be clear evidence suggesting the encounter was staged. The real question is what the figure actually was. Some viewers believe it could be some kind of cryptid, possibly something like a shapeshifter or another unknown creature. Others offer a more scientific explanation, suggesting it may simply be a person behaving in a very unusual way. Either way, it remains a very strange encounter. As mentioned earlier, the video has been receiving a large number of views online, which is why it was worth sharing here. Now it's left open for interpretation, and people can decide for themselves what they believe it might be. The following footage reportedly shows a mysterious creature that some believe could be Bigfoot. Once again, the video has been spreading quickly online, but it has also sparked a lot of debate. Viewers are divided, with some convinced the footage is completely genuine, while others argue that it could be AI generated. Regardless of the disagreement, the clip is extremely clear, making it one of the most detailed recordings of a possible creature like this. The witness was walking through a forest that day, in an undisclosed location, when they suddenly noticed a dark figure standing upright in the distance. Because they were positioned at a higher vantage point and felt relatively safe, they took out their phone and began recording the strange creature. Shortly afterward, they ended the video and quickly left the area. Looking closely at the figure itself, it appears to match many descriptions often associated with sightings of large unknown forest creatures. The figure looks tall, covered in dark fur, slightly hunched, and clearly walking on two legs. Its proportions appear bulky and powerful, resembling the general body structure that witnesses often attribute to Sasquatch. Reports of large, unidentified creatures like this have circulated for decades. Many descriptions mention a tall, muscular bipedal figure with thick fur and an imposing presence. Encounters are often said to occur deep in remote forests, where these creatures appear to move quickly and remain hidden from people. While the true identity of the creature in this footage remains uncertain, its appearance and behavior have led some viewers to believe it could be another possible glimpse of Bigfoot. All of these events show just how unpredictable the world can be. Stay alert, stay safe, and remember to respect your surroundings. Which moment surprised you the most? Drop a comment below and let us know.